Currently in Ethiopia, including our ministry, there is big reform going on at national level. The reform that has been taken as the first action to change the life of our people is to reorganize, to restructure the governance of the ministry, governance of Ministry of Water and Energy. There I will say a few points. Another one, Ethiopian water resource key challenge, vision and the programs. What vision do we have? What do we want to attain? What challenge do we have? All these are some kind of questions that will be posed in everyone's mind. I hope by the coming symposium, we will find some of the topics to be the research agenda, to be working upon them. The third and the fourth one is specific to water supply and sanitation. What trend are we going through? Then what does our energy production looks like? Finally, how we shall work together. Just I will pause, then try to finish my slides. I'm sorry if it's not visible. This is the current structure of Ministry of Water and Energy. If you remember, before 1 year, we used to call it Water, Irrigation, and Energy. Some years back, it was Water, Irrigation, Electric, and so on. Few years back, even something was also another naming. So in all those processes, we felt, the government felt something went wrong, especially when there has to be flow of chain of command. How to link the important parameters, how to achieve what we demand. So reform is mandatory. You will find this in our website. Don't worry, you can see. If any of you can have connection, military, you can see them. So we do have 3 state ministers. One state minister is the one dealing with energy sector. My colleague, Dr. Sultan, is with me. Another one is with water resource management. That is led by Dr. Abra. The third one is water supply and sanitation. That is led by Ambassador Soringam. So these 3 state ministers were the same as the previous ones. The very important one, what we need to realize here, earlier time we used to have the basin development, which was separate. The rural energy one, which was standalone, somehow they are cost-centered, we don't say them. The water commission, which is cost-centered, needs to be linked to the ministry, but for one or the other reason, it was not in that way. And it needs to bring all of them to one center so that there is a flow, there is a success in delivering what's required to do. Earlier time we call it directorates. It's like a department. In this reform, now we are calling it executive officer, chief executive officer, CEO, whatever we hear here and there, in all sectors. In our ministry, the earlier time directorates are now replaced by the executive officers, especially under the components under the state ministers. They are really professionally based. Professionally, competence is very important so that they can lead. Under the chief executive officer, we do have desks. So each desk, what you see under this one, they comprise about 9 to 11 staff, specific to those staff. Not to go into detail, very importantly, we try to incorporate sanitation separately. This day, in the earlier time, always we used to talk about water supply, supply, supply. Unless we think about the sanitation aspect, we don't go further. Clearly, we can see now. Another one, which is very important, the water resource development. Earlier time was standalone. We try to bring that under the State Ministry of Water Supply and Sanitation. That will help to mobilize finance. That will help to know how we can capacitate the regions, the municipalities, by borrowing them money so that they can work upon that, collect the revenue, and then we can have a kind of revolving so that our Ethiopian brothers or fellows will get water supply accordingly. These are some strategy under the water supply and sanitation. Under the water source, two things we do have. The hydrology and the watershed, integrated water source management, where we need to see an integration in terms of the hydrology, in terms of the basin management, in terms of the catchment management, in terms of the water source management, and so on. Under this water source management state minister, we do have database. Yesterday, someone was commenting on the data availability. Honestly speaking, if we see in our ministry, things have troubled. The gauging stations, whether they're functional or no, the data quality, the follow-up, the check, whatever we say is traditional. So now we want to make that at desk level so that researchers will be having reasonable data. Not researchers, designer will be using appropriate data. By the way, the wrong data we have in hydrology will lead us to design wrong dam. Catastrophe. That will lead us to give to policy maker, for decision maker, because the data is wrong. Either we overestimate, either we underestimate, one or the other way, that will be contributing on the visibility. Is that visible or no? So that is where really we want to work on. And at organogram, we already proposed. Energy, we do have 3 executive officers. One is the rural one. The other one is for the energy resource, study and development. Other one is electrification. Especially the rural one. We'll keep up on talking about energy later on. Few points I will say. That is where we need to have focus. In Ethiopia, if we see the settlement pattern, it's really not comfortable to go for the grid system. There should be a way out. A standalone village can have its own energy. A single house can have its own energy. Because the way our people are settled here and there is not comfortable to extend the lines, even to administer that. So the rural energy development is very crucial and important. If we have this kind of platform, now researchers need to say, okay, what does this mean? How should I work upon that? What opportunity can I provide? I can go for that. These things are the technical ones we see at state minister levels. At the ministry level, the other ones are admin ones, but the very important, which I really need you, as we say yesterday, either to contribute or to support, is for the transboundary executive office, where we do have the hydro diplomacy as one desk or one team, and the geoinformatics. Those are helping us to take us a little bit higher. As we talk about the water supply, the energy, the sanitation, household level, we need to talk about the entire water network, again, Ethiopia. So this is now what we are going through. In allocating or assigning people on these positions, we really are trying to make much professional. That does not depend on my judgment. That does not depend on the state minister's judgment. There is clear criteria that has been put. I hope that will be good experience for you as well, if we can share it. 15% is exam. That exam needs to be prepared by anyone whom the responsible guys can assign, either myself or my state ministers or whatever. What we did is we invited one university to prepare exam for that job description, for that position, because we know who should be competing up with that. Earlier time in civil service, what we had is, for example, one position, one post. If we say planning directorate, economics, statistics, ... etc. In this reform, there is no etc. Clearly cut. We say statistics, pure. Either economics, hydraulic engineer, geotechnical, hydrogeologist, etc. There is no etc. here. So someone who really can fit into the box will sit for exam. So we already clearly identified who can sit for the box. And then they set already for the written exam. The results are really very funny. Some of them, they did a wonderful job. Some really very trouble to speak about. What does this show? Our education quality, our universities needs to be seen. No words to mention from which or what. Really, we could map clearly. People having the same profession, the same certificate, even much GPA. Things are going the other way. So should we think in the future, our graduates need to be qualified. They need to be competent. Need to sit for exit exam before graduation, like law, like medicine. I don't know if they are doing that. Really, there is clear indication. What we are left now here is the 35%, which actually the responsibility is given to the minister or state ministers. We are not randomly giving them again. We are allowing them to sit and present their plan. For example, the office head, Secretary Salavi, what is going to do? How is going to manage? As of Monday, we are going to filter them. This will help us for sure to see a change in ministry in 1 year. This will help, it will help us reform the ministry. It will help our customers, researchers, universities. When they come to our ministry, they will get satisfied. Because administratively, they have competent person, capable person, in all levels, the desk, the team leader, the CEO, whatever we name. So that is now where the Ministry of Water and Energy is. Why I talk all about this? Later, when we are going to see some problems, who will do it? Will be one of the questions. Who will do it? Will be someone with a capable architectural design. The architectural design with a proper system is the organogram, how the setup, how the arrangement is prepared.